Welcome to the Recovery Centered Podcast, the space for honest conversation about healing, hope, and the journey through mental health and addiction recovery. Each episode, we sit down with people making a difference, from therapists and researchers to change makers and to survivors. Now, to explore what recovery really looks like in the world. This podcast is produced in collaboration with Beachway Therapy Center. Hello, everybody. My name's Tim Roberto. Welcome to another episode of the Recovery Podcast. I am your host, and I bring great guests here like Jeremy. Hey, Jeremy, thanks for coming, brother.
Thank you for having me.
It's amazing to have him here. You know, he's another guy that turned his life into a totally different direction. And that's what we do here, right? We're called the Recovery Centered Podcast. We bring innovators on this podcast. We bring game changers on this podcast. We bring people who struggle with mental health on this podcast. We bring people who struggle with alcoholism, drug addiction on this podcast, and clinicians and people in the front lines like Jeremy's a frontline guy. So, hey, man, I'm honored you're here. Thank you for contributing to another episode of the Recovery Centered Podcast, because my goal, and I think we had lunch last week and we talked about it, it's like, how do we reach that one guy?
Yep.
You know, you have that one guy, I have that one guy. So, hey, why don't you tell everybody, that's checking in on the podcast a little bit about yourself, and let's get going, man.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me. Especially after our lunch last week, which I really enjoyed. It's
Yeah.
definitely more impactful than I had anticipated.
Oh, nice.
Although, we've been doing this for a little while now, as far as like we work in the same space,
Yeah.
and you've always been someone who I just like the way that you've gone about your business and the way you move and navigate our space.
Oh, nice.
Um,
Thank you.
as a man in recovery, we've done a lot of things kind of parallel in some ways,
Mm,
and I'm sure we'll get to that at some point. But
yeah.
as you mentioned, my name's Jeremy Plummer. I am in long-term recovery. If God sees fit, I will celebrate 10 years this year, which is pretty freaking sweet.
Yo, that's what's up.
Man.
Yo, I know you're clapping out there too. Yo, yo, yo.
And you said something kind of to jump it off in regards to, you know, ch- like as if I changed my direction. I really didn't have much to do with the changing of the direction, right? It wasn't really until I kind of surrendered my desires or my wants and thoughts that I was able to that the direction was able to be changed, you know what I mean? And for that I'm forever grateful, that's for sure.
Yes, sir. Boy, what talk about grace, like
Yeah.
it has to, I don't know, like, does everybody's lives have to become so unmanageable so that they can become manageable?
Seemingly not. I guess that's what differentiates us a little bit. But as brutal and as challenging as it can be sometimes,
Mm,
it has afforded us the ability to be uniquely qualified to do some of the things that we do,
it's pretty amazing, right?
without becoming a clinician and going through all the tough work that they do to,
Yeah,
maybe set themselves apart in that regard. But
yeah.
you know, like you, I'm sure I've had some opportunities to share my experience, my tough experiences, in an attempt to help other people, and there's a lot of beauty in that, I think.
Oh yeah, like it's all a team effort, it's
Yeah.
definitely a team effort, and thank God, that there's a lot of people, clinicians, people like me and you, sponsors, community advocates, mental health advocates,
Hmm.
one way or the other, man, we're all like kind of like tied into this really cool tapestry that's
Yeah.
being weaved, but without all these individual positions, and experiences, would it work? Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
it's so
It's
deep, isn't
it's
it?
it's always so interesting. Like, I'll use myself for an example. One of my first treatment stays, granted, I wasn't even remotely close to being willing or even really,
Mm,
I was like still in denial. I wasn't even quite sure what it was I was up against yet.
mm,
But my first, I don't know if she was a case manager or a therapist, but right off the jump, I asked her if she was a drug addict or an alcoholic, and she said no, and I was like, "Boom, disqualified. You have
Yeah.
no idea what I'm going through.
Yep.
There's no way we can relate."
Yep.
And so I couldn't even hear what she was saying.
Yep.
I now know that that was just my addiction and my alcoholism defense mechanisms coming up and trying to keep me away from any form of a solution.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
I say that to say, like, sometimes it takes having direct experience with addiction or alcoholism to get through, at least initially,
Yeah.
so that they know that I can relate to the whatever it was that they were
Yeah.
going through. Um, Hopefully crack them open so that a clinician can come in and do
Yeah.
the refined work.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I went back to school. I'm a counselor. I'm not a therapist. But I've had a lot of life experiences through people like you, right? Because I work with a lot of addicts and alkies, and I tell them all the time, I'm just trying to make a difference in your life because you guys teach me more than you know.
Yeah.
And because I'm back going back to school and all that, I never had a professor teach me heart. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like, I hear so many excuses, bro. I could write like a probably just phenomenal book on,
Yeah.
excuses
Yeah,
sound
yeah.
best to the people that are making them up.
1,000 pages of it, yeah, 100%.
And,
All of
and
which I've said myself, you know what I mean? That's for sure.
oh yeah, yeah, but
Yeah.
everybody's got worth.
Yeah.
Regardless if you've been in
Mm.
down, through the meat grinder or not, if you're an addict or you're not, like everybody's got worth. Like I get that to a certain extent, as a Marine, you see another Marine, it's like it's the green light. It's
Yeah.
the automatic brotherhood, it's the automatic camaraderie, the
Mhm.
automatic, bond. Police officer to police officer, fire rescue to fire rescue, therapist to therapist. They have their own bonds too. Like
Yeah.
there's all these things. And I try to get these people that I work with, to get out of their little, I call them F boxes. You guys figure out the rest of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Get out of your little F box, you know what I mean? And take from this person, take from that person, take from this person, take because it's kind of like the squirrel, right? Like instinctually, they know, man, when the cold weather's coming and they start gathering, and they're cozy as heck, man. Through
Mhm.
all the winter months, they all look pretty beefy to me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, if you gather enough crumbs during the day, you get a cookie, man. Like,
That said, like, what is your experience with 'cause I haven't served, I'm not a first responder, but I have friends, Johnny being one of them, who
yeah.
I know you and
Yeah.
I both love dearly.
Johnny's been on the podcast.
He's the
Yo,
man.
Johnny.
Johnny. I'll use the camera for that, Johnny. Um, and I was actually, coincidentally dealing with a case, this past week with a gentleman that is a police officer,
Yeah.
and he was very much concerned with there being specific programming for first responders. Now, without let me be very clear, like, I will never, ever dismiss the work that they've done, the people that have served. I have the utmost respect, always.
Yep.
I tell Johnny all the time. I tell anybody that's served, how much I appreciate their service and all that stuff. Um, my question to you would be, do at the end of the day, I believe that we suffer from the same thing, whether it be, addiction or alcoholism. Again, not dismissing any of the traumatic events that people who have served or first responders deal with on an abnormally, frequent basis.
Yep. Yep.
What is your kind of thoughts on programming or separate trauma groups or things of the like?
I think they're really good until a certain extent, because police officers, first responders, veterans, they also live in the world,
Right.
that they're in their community. So how do I teach them? How do I get them comfortable to live in their communities and not hold their identity so closely to their chest or vest, so to say, because we built these identities up over time now. I'm a fire rescue guy. Nobody else understands me except my own people. I'm a
Yeah,
police officer. Nobody understands me except my own people, and I get that to a certain extent.
right,
But what happens when you retire? Who are you then?
right,
And unfortunately, with a lot of first responders, veterans, and police officers, etc., we lose a lot of them to death by suicide
right.
after their careers because they've put so much attachment to their career.
Yeah,
Like that's their whole life, and there's so much more to them. You know, they're also husbands and they're also wives and they're also dads and they're
right.
all, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so I get that to a certain extent, and everybody has a different philosophy, but I think balance is key to when, say, somebody lives their life going from 0 to 100 over and over and over and
right,
over again. You know, you're sleeping in your bed at 2 o'clock as a firefighter, and next thing you know, you're in a truck like 3.5 minutes later.
right. Yeah, it's definitely a unique stimulus
Correct.
that I can't relate to. I can
Yeah.
only imagine. I
Yeah.
just often wonder, and I agree with everything that you said. Like maybe those specific groups
Mm.
or whatever can help kind of maybe knock the walls down so that they can receive the message that a
Yeah.
lot of us end up receiving in regards to how to treat addiction or alcoholism on
Yeah.
just like a basic level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's important, like, I get that, but, you know, it's also important because most of them obviously struggle with trauma,
Right.
you know, whether it was pre-job
Which is
or
which is
job.
which seems to be fairly common from the stories that I've heard.
Correct. And my spiral in the Marine Corps was the trauma I had prior to the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps just exacerbated it,
Right.
you know, and I also had addiction.
And probably the
uh,
Marine Corps probably maybe had enough discipline to kind of keep you within the lines
to a certain
to a
extent.
certain extent, and then
The
ultimately when
undisputed
yeah,
Yeah, the undisputed champ always went and
yeah,
won, you know,
of
always won
course,
out
yeah, yeah,
because I didn't know what else to do with how I felt.
yeah,
You know, I didn't eat my feelings. I didn't, you know, sexually act out my feelings. I didn't do marathons and I didn't do other stuff obsessively and compulsively. You know, I drank and I did a lot of blow.
right, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like that's how I managed. Like that's how I self-soothed myself.
And those cultures, and again, I'm kind of just speculating,
Yeah,
but those cultures, amongst others, sometimes kind of lend themselves to that type of behavior, like that macho or each, stuff your feelings down, and the drinking and partying,
yeah. They're the most bravest people I know.
100%,
I mean, incredibly brave.
100%,
It's not about bravery. It's a human condition, you know. And when I don't like how I feel, I don't like how I feel.
right,
You know, and I need different coping mechanisms. And unfortunately, we get to a point because of stigma too. There's a lot of stigma,
mhm,
you know, suck it up. This is what you signed up for, etc. There's a lot of that stuff, whether you're a first responder or not, just in general, you
yeah.
know. But
Some I had just read something, a professional athlete in the NFL seemingly may have taken his own life, and, a player that he had played with said something to the effect that a lot of these leagues talk about, like, mental health awareness, and they'll do, like, a month or some type of initiative trying to, like, shine a light on it, which is great, don't get me wrong, but, a lot of players fear, actually bringing up to, like, their leadership or ownership
mm,
that they have an issue
mm,
because they may get treated differently,
yep,
you know what I mean? And
yeah,
so,
100%.
that
I mean,
presents a different challenge, you know?
yeah, they're getting better,
Yeah,
but you know, when you're not doing well, regardless of your occupation, when you're not doing well, it's you know, it's amazing what the corrupted mind, and I say corrupted because you're not doing well.
right.
What the corrupted mind will come up with.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know, the mind, if you allow it, it creates this image in your head of what it thinks it's supposed to be like instead of what it already is. And for me, what it already is now.
yeah,
And it's just a collection of a bunch of little now. So how are you living now? But the mind will take off like,
yeah,
you know, they don't want to work with me. I'm going to get desk duty. You know, you take a police officer's gun away. It's like the end of the world.
yeah.
You
And
know, that's
anytime
that's part of their identity
yeah,
then.
anytime whether it be myself, a first responder, an athlete, we're driven by fear. It's usually not the best place to operate from.
No,
You
because
know,
it's
it's like a survival thing. It's
correct.
not
It's
like a thriving type, positive mindset,
yeah, it's very emotionally charged,
Yeah.
and in these emotions
Not based in truth,
correct,
generally, right?
correct.
Yeah.
And like you said, a lot of these emotionally charged thoughts are based in fear.
Mhm.
So, if I live a fear-based life, I'm just creating more fear,
Right,
right? Because fear-based decisions only create more fear.
right.
And it's just that typical, like a lot of people use the word drain. I just sit in that drain,
Swirling. Yep,
swirling. But on the outside, I'm a good and fine club member.
right.
Yo, what's up, Jeremy? Yeah, yo, what's up, Timmy? Yeah, I'm good, man. Oh, okay, all right, man.
Mhm.
A lot of first responders use dark humor.
Yeah,
I work with a lot of them. I've been working with them for many years now, and a lot of them reach out to me, and I meet them here, I meet them there, and I meet them. They're just like us.
yeah.
Their occupations are different. They have different occupations, obviously, that
Mhm.
fuel a lot of stuff more than the average Joe. As people in their lifetime, I don't know, maybe experience some trauma or a few traumatic experiences. That's every time they're on shift.
Right.
And I don't think the body, I just don't think, Jeremy, the human nature, like, we're wired for that stuff.
No.
I just, and it's over and over and over.
Yeah, and then, you start to get exhausted or the anxiety or all those things
Yeah.
ramp up and,
Yeah.
for me at least, the only way I knew how to mitigate that prior to, getting into recovery
Yeah.
was drugs or alcohol. And so you start that,
Yep. I had a
freaking
guy
rat
reach
race.
out to me from Georgia, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. Been, working with him and the charity I'm involved in, it's spread up there. He called, reached out a couple of weeks ago. He got a call. There was a 4-month-old baby
Mm.
that was ejected from the car.
Yeah, no.
And when he got on the scene, his initial, obviously, right, CPR, check vitals, do your process of elimination. That he was so distraught from that because it's a rural, semi-rural county in Georgia, and the ride to the hospital was 25 minutes. So he
Longest 25 minutes of someone's life,
correct, and being take a relief. I'll take. No, I'm not. Like poor guy, he's an Afghanistan combat vet
Mm.
too, twice, and man, so
Yeah, heavy.
they lost. He couldn't get. It destroyed him. Like, and the little girl, like he said, she grabbed my hand, and I was talking to her, and her hand, just all this stuff, and to pull out of that
Yep.
and go home to your family, like, hey, how's it going?
Right.
And
And
nobody,
then what, expected to kinda show up the next day and
yeah,
perform at a high level still,
it was bad. And
you
this
know?
was a couple weeks ago, and I just got a text from him over the weekend. Yo, man, I need help.
It's a
So,
hard thing for people to do too.
dude, it's one of the hardest things to do. Nobody does it. That's why most people don't do it.
Yep.
I'm not asking for, well, just think about what I said, for God's sakes, will you? It's one of the hardest, bravest things to do. That's why most people don't do
I'm
it.
glad you said that because anytime I get the opportunity to speak with someone that finally is asking for help, I try to let them know how courageous it is because it's not easy. I didn't get
Yeah.
sober until I was 29, and there was a lot of years where I just refused to ask for help.
Oh,
I thought I
yeah.
could figure it out,
Yeah.
and just didn't wanna really admit defeat, I guess, in some ways. I don't know if, what that stems from, but it's amazing how much finally asking for help, not only did I receive it, but, like, almost right away, like, a weight feels lifted.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dude, it's like the pimp is unbelievable. The pimp is like, there's a person that's catching this podcast right now that will probably watch the YouTube video over the weekend on how to fix something. And you might have not heard that person correctly. So you put it on reverse and you listen to it again. You went, "Oh, wow," and you're like, "I love you too. I fixed another thing. I had
Right.
another project completed." Right? How many times, since you found a way out, I found a way out. You told somebody, "Yeah, I can show you, man, if you want. I
Mhm.
mean, it worked for me. I'm not
Yeah.
saying it's gonna, but I can show you."
Yeah.
"Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah," and they just, kinda disappear.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable the
Yeah. And, I get it,
Oh, I totally
because I
get it.
there was plenty of times that I, stepped up to the line thinking that I was ready, but then faced with that reality, I was more comfortable with the chaos that I had created, because I'd been doing that for so long that the fear of the unknown was like, "Oh, I
That's
don't."
why it's a different kinda hard.
Yeah, exactly.
The chaos, you knew how to operate in
Yeah, I
that,
was, didn't love it, but I knew what it was like, and I was like, "Alright, I."
and it was familiar to you. It
Exactly.
was like the dysfunctional girlfriend,
Right. Right.
right? Like,
Yeah.
she was familiar to you, and
Mhm.
the crazier the better.
Yeah.
Then it didn't make me feel as bad.
Right.
I'm like, "Hey, I'm not doing as bad as I thought I was."
Yeah.
Oh, I call them, so let me put my rescuer's hat on because she's worse than me, so I'll start rescuing her. And, oh yeah, yeah, talk about manifestation,
Yeah.
man. Phew.
Yeah, it's very comparable to addiction or alcoholism. You end up,
Yeah,
you know, misery loves company. The company you keep during those times usually aren't
yeah.
necessarily a circle of winners and stuff like that. If you even have people around you, I ended up, there wasn't anybody that even wanted to be around me. I was by myself at the
No,
end.
really? I'm so
Yeah.
surprised.
Yeah.
Jeez, I'm
I'm
sure you
sure.
were doing every.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
So, we're South Florida people,
Now we are.
and now we are. Where are you from originally?
Indiana.
Indiana.
Mhm. Probably don't hear that very often, huh?
No, I don't. Yeah. What was Indiana like? Like, what was that like for you, man?
I mean,
Is
it
there
was
any place you wanna go with that, like, or that you're cool with,
yeah,
Like,
I mean, we could yeah, I
what was it like growing up, man? Maybe, somebody that's contemplating getting help, that guy was just like me. I don't know.
no, I mean, I've encountered plenty, since I've been sober, and I'm not one of those that had any, like, significant trauma or any issues. I had a beautiful childhood with loving parents, great siblings, um, was active in a lot of sports, did all the things, rode dirt bikes, you
Mm,
know, my dad had a boat. We did everything. I have
yeah,
nothing that I can point to in regards to my childhood or
mm,
adolescence. Um, for me, I was just, uh, drugs and alcohol kinda served a purpose in some ways, whether it be like a social lubricant, um, you know, it
yeah.
just did a lot for me.
Did you have anxiety or
I don't think I knew it, you know? It wasn't until probably high school and stuff like that where, alcohol and, I tampered with, like, every substance possible, but,
Mm,
alcohol and Xanax really predominantly, and,
mm. Gave you that sense of
yeah,
comfort and ease, right?
yeah, yep.
Kinda.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I mean, I was an athlete all throughout high school, and so I had a community, but a
Yeah,
lot of us partied and stuff like that,
yeah.
and I don't know, they kinda just served each other, I guess, and
You got the bug. You
yeah.
kinda got the bug,
Yeah, it was
right?
very much just recreational and seemingly fun, and, again, from the outside looking in, everything probably looked great, and I don't think, I think I was kinda more of the type that at some point, I kinda just crossed a line to where, once, like, a physical dependency came
Mm.
into play that there was no turning back for
Yeah,
me.
you got pickled,
Yeah, I got
right? You
pickled.
got pickled.
Yeah.
Does it run in the family at all?
Yeah. Yeah, we have some.
Okay.
Yep.
So do you think it's a possibility, or would you rule out that it's not genetic, or would you
It's
say
hard to
it has a
tell.
component to it?
It's like what came first, the chicken or the egg type of
Mm,
deal, I don't know how much I subscribe to, like, the genetic predisposition type
yeah,
deal.
yeah,
It certainly could be, I don't know enough about that
yeah.
to denounce it or whatever, but, I think that, it really kinda just made me feel good
Mm,
for someone maybe I didn't feel good, I don't know, it's hard to tell,
yeah, yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I didn't even know I had until it was too late,
Yeah, it already grabbed you.
Yeah.
It was like the point of no return, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So what happened, man? What moved you into recovery? What was going on prior to you just willing to do what you didn't wanna do? Because recovery's doing what I don't wanna do.
Yeah. Yeah, in a lot of ways it is. For
So,
me, it was
like
just,
yeah, where we at?
I didn't get sober till I was 29, as I mentioned, and
Yeah.
so I'm all, from the moment I graduated high school all through my 20s, it was just failure to launch. I couldn't do anything. I didn't even know what I liked.
Mm,
Um, all the ideas that I had, I tried to move different places, but everywhere I went, there I was, and I would always seek out drugs and alcohol, and
yeah,
so I was
yeah,
just never really able to accomplish anything. And throughout that time, you know, the progressive nature of the disease that we suffer from, like the substances I was using increased, or uh, I started using harder and harder stuff to a
mm,
point where, ultimately I became an IV heroin user. And then I was like shooting speedballs too, so heroin and coke together, and um, that's just for me at least, it was impossible to function like any type of a normal person at that point. And
yeah,
so,
yeah,
homelessness and just the inability to do anything, hospital stays, the whole nine,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
I kept trying to figure it out myself. Again, like not really willing to receive help, wanting to figure it out myself.
mm,
But fortunately, throughout all those struggles and challenges, um, I do have an uncle that's in long-term recovery, and he um, injected himself into my situation and got me into, a treatment center. And
yeah,
um, even then, it wasn't enough at first. I started to learn some things while in treatment, but still had this idea that, maybe I shouldn't, you know, shoot cocaine and heroin at the same time.
yeah,
That sounds like reasonable,
yeah,
but I can definitely still like drink alcohol or maybe even smoke weed like a normal person.
yeah,
Those things are seemingly socially acceptable, right? And a lot of people along the way told me that that wasn't going to work for me.
yeah,
I didn't listen, and so I had to, figure it out on my own. And they were right.
yeah,
Eventually led me right back to
yeah,
the harder stuff. And I was just completely out of options and was really on death's door, and it wasn't then. And my uncle said something very important to me the last time that he picked me up from a place that I was at, and he told me to surrender to win, which was just such a foreign concept to me. And
classic. That's
yeah,
a classic.
yeah, and it's something that I still think about today, and kind of a mantra that I go by.
Mm,
Um, so it wasn't until I surrendered and kind of threw up the white flag that I was able to really receive help. God was able to enter my life and start to
mhm,
kinda steer the ship, and,
nice,
that's really what opened the
nice.
door for me to start to recover.
So you started using people who found a way out of heroin addiction, alcoholism, drug addiction as your YouTube,
Mhm, exactly.
right?
Yep.
And
And
you
in a lot of
stopped.
ways, I still do that today, almost 10 years into this thing, is that
That's right.
still,
That's
whether it
right.
be men like you, or countless other great men that I have in my life, um, just kinda leverage their experience.
Yeah.
And if you have something that I want, I'm gonna attach myself to you
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
try to
Yeah.
attain that
Yeah, you're gathering your crumbs, my friend.
That's right. Yep, trying to get beefy. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. Wow, what an amazing story. Would you say like like marijuana, weed can be a gateway to shooting heroin?
I mean, in some ways,
Like, I
not
guess what I'm saying is that what you started out with? Like
yeah.
your bag of Doritos out in the woods for the munchies, a couple bongs,
Oh,
some
yeah.
bowls, whatever, and a little fort.
Yeah, I mean, it
Woo-hoo-hoos.
kinda can it segued me into just like a culture or a way of living that led me closer to that.
To your final
Yeah, 'cause
destination.
I was also, like, selling stuff, and, first I was selling weed, and then I would sell this, and then, one thing led to
Yeah,
another. So in that
yeah.
aspect, certainly it certainly could be, yeah.
Selling to support the lifestyle.
Yep. And again, like, when I say drugs and alcohol did a lot for me, because I sold them as well, people wanted to be around me, right? So I was kind of,
Mm,
it, like, validated me in that way, or
yeah, gave you that worth, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yep, because
comfort.
people were seeking me out, and it wasn't real,
You think it was a control too,
sure,
right?
yeah,
A little bit of control.
definitely,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's very intriguing, there's so many different aspects to this thing, and there's so many different roads it takes, and, like, it's I guess what I'm trying to say, this thing will use whatever it can,
100%.
and it's the master at it, like, it doesn't care about that. It's like the ultimate narcissist,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? It could care less, and I think it wants the addict, alkie, either dead
Mhm.
or will accept a life of misery.
Yep, and that's exactly
What it got for you,
yep,
right?
yep, it had me, in a bit of a psychosis to be fair, but
Do you remember
contemplating suicide or, like, robbing somebody at an ATM, those are the only 2 thoughts that I had left.
boy,
Like, what kind of a life is that? And that's exactly where it wanted me, you know?
talk about whittling it down,
Yep,
man, to, like, 2, like, talk about that's like the ultimate whittler,
mhm,
right?
yep,
It takes everything
yep,
until either the life physically or life mentally.
yep.
Amazing. So do you recall that day? Was it a day like we were talking about before, like,
Oh, yeah.
calling for help, asking for help, like,
I didn't even ask for help. It was kinda like some divine intervention, I was a series of events, I stopped showing up to work, I was
Mm,
you know, I had ended up somehow in the basement of this woman's, house that I had found on Craigslist because 'cause I'd been evicted from my previous apartment, hadn't shown up to my job, phone shut off, don't have any money, sick as a dog, it was like 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, or whatever when I first woke up, and that's when I started, going back and forth between, I'm all set, like, I'm just either gonna take my own life or I'm
mm.
gonna rob somebody at a freaking ATM to try to get my next fix and maybe get another 24 hours out of this thing, and, um, fortunately, my uncle had or my boss from the job that I hadn't shown up to in a few days reached out to my dad reached out to my uncle. I was in Tennessee at the time where my uncle was living, and somehow, like, one of my coworkers had dropped me off at the house that I was living at, so the boss called my dad called my uncle got in contact with the person that knew where I was at, and he came and showed up to the door.
Who's he? Uncle?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
The guy in recovery?
Yep.
Ooh, I love it.
Yep.
How much did he have in his pocket? How much time did he have in his pocket then,
At that time, let's see,
roughly?
probably, like, 4 years or something
Ah,
like that,
nice.
enough to be equipped with the facts and know
Yeah.
and, they
Ultim
they they were fully like, he was fully anticipating, like, him showing up to that house and me not being alive. That's kinda what they were prepared
Yeah.
for, unfortunately,
Yep, yep.
and, he pounded on the door. I was in the basement, I could hear it, and because I was thinking about harming myself or robbing somebody, and I'm in, like, a psychosis, so, like, full flight from reality, I'm thinking that, like, the cops somehow know what I was thinking and they're at the door, you know what I mean? I'm,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
not in a good place, so I didn't answer the door at first, and, it felt like probably an hour went by, it was probably 5 minutes. He's knocking at the door again, and I kinda was just like, "You know what? I'm all set," and I went and answered the door, and it wasn't the cops, it was my uncle, and all he asked me was, "Are you ready? Or are you done?" He said, "Are you done?" And right then and there, it was like 1,000 pounds had been lifted, and I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, he didn't feel attacked either. I love his approach.
Oh, yeah.
That's my approach for
Mhm.
sure. Are you done?
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect, man.
Yeah.
And that was your day, bro.
That was it.
That was your day.
Yep.
So
I know.
some of these things can get really deep, you know what I mean? Because it takes me right back to that time in the beginning of the podcast when I said the goal is to always to reach that one person. We all have that one guy, that one person. I just heard another example of that one person. That's all it's about, man. If we, Jeremy and I, because we're both in it, we're both in the front lines, we work in the treatment space. He's White Sands. I'm beach weight therapy, and beach weight therapy puts this recovery centered podcast on so we can reach that one person. We've been at it for 20 years. Your place has been what?
They've been open for what? Quite some time as well.
Quite some time
Yeah.
as well. There's so many people that legitimately want to help, and that one person is always out there. And
Yep.
that's just, I had that one person too. My guy was a Marine I met in Camp Lejeune. I called
Mhm.
him. because I couldn't get through that barrier of calling.
Yep.
And you know what he said to me?
Hmm.
I've been waiting for this day.
Yeah.
That's all he said. And I don't know about you, and I don't know about me. I mean, I know about me, but I don't know about you if you're out there struggling. I thought nobody knew.
Yeah.
And that was how I answered
That's the
back.
greatest that's again
I
the
was
great
like, yeah, I was like,
deceiver.
"You knew?" It's like, "Charlie, you know?"
Everybody knows.
He's like,
We're the
"Dude."
last ones to the party, you know what I mean? It's like everybody's waiting. They're praying,
Correct.
and just hoping
Yeah.
that we finally reach out, and that's I'm just very grateful that I got the opportunity and that people showed up,
Yeah.
and that's why I take what we do so serious.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just another gift I had to pay back
Yeah, I feel obligated
legitimately.
to do that.
Obligated,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, been given a gift because, know, I know, gosh, that you guys know too, it's a gift or a privilege denied so many people, like,
Yeah. I think that's why I stay in it too. I don't ever wanna I hope I never forget how dark those days were, and, not that I, like, sit there and dwell on
mm,
it too much or anything like that, but
mm,
I know that the life that I have today is unbelievable, you know,
yeah, for sure.
beyond my wildest dreams, as they would say,
Yeah,
and,
I used to hate, well, your little sayings back
cliches, yeah, me
there.
too.
Your little saying,
Yeah, for real.
keep coming back.
Yeah, all that. I couldn't stand
But
it,
it's so true, right,
and that
bro?
yeah.
The
Yeah.
power's in the simplicity, man, not the simplicity, not the complexity.
Yeah.
And all those little sayings are so simple, but dude, they're so weighted, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
They're so weighted in their meaning and their truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
That
I'm so happy for you, man. I'm so happy we got together. That lunch was great. I loved it.
yeah.
There was something about it. I walked away with a really good vibe. You know what I mean?
Well, it's great because I mean, you and I really connected, when you were just starting Stomping Out the Stigma.
Mm,
I had, I founded and was the head coach of my own nonprofit, and which is still operating today, and they're doing wonderful work. But I remember
wonderful.
when you were first talking about it and the enthusiasm you had then, and kind of the idea you had for it, and to see how much it's grown, and even specifically this most recent one that you just did, I was watching, and
Yeah.
oh, unbelievable.
That's deep. Hey, you just gave me a thought, and that's why I love doing what I do. And I think Jeremy's pretty much in the same lane, and a lot of you are probably in the same lane. I prepared my whole life, and it never really worked out that great. I live really now. It's a discipline that I practice in my almost 19 years, right? Living now, practicing now, little disciplines now,
Mhm.
and I've been thinking and I'm gonna say it out loud. I've been looking for a guy that's a little younger than me that can pass the baton. I could pass the baton to, or I could, maybe back off as far as the physical part. This year I still got it, bro. I'm still a ground pounder, man.
I know it.
I
I seen
pounded
it.
out 100 miles for the cause, for first responders and veterans and mental
Incredible.
health. And I think I got a couple more left based on this last walk. But I'm looking for that guy, man, that I could pass this sacred
And it is.
thing to. So I don't know. Yeah,
Well, I'll tell you this.
maybe
You
there's
have my
this.
word, and I'll tell the cameras. I will absolutely be joining you for a bunch of miles next year. You have my word.
Dude, well, then we're gonna have to kick it up then, because if the old guy conks out, at least the young buck can keep going. I'll get a car ride down.
I'll tell you what, I
To
just know that kind of mileage is no joke. We were talking about at lunch. I ran a marathon in December, and
Yeah,
that tested me big time. It was
yeah.
like a spiritual thing towards the end.
Oh
I had
yeah,
to tap in for real.
yeah. You get a high, like a different kind of high, a
Yeah.
spiritual
And
high.
it's interesting because all the negative self-talk and dialogue started to come back, or
Yep,
I don't need to do this. Why
yeah.
am I even doing this?
Oh
Doesn't
yeah,
even matter. Nobody will care.
oh yeah.
Fortunately, we have a higher power that can propel us. And
Amen.
I'll tell you what, crossing that finish line was one of the best things ever.
Beautiful. Changed your life forever.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, I
Yeah.
get that, man. Like this last walk, it changes your life.
Yeah.
Hey man, unfortunately we got to wrap it up. And man, what a phenomenal discussion off the rip, you know what I mean? Genuine, authentic, some emotion behind it, a
Mhm.
lot of reality. My friends, recovery's 100% obtainable, you know, and this is just my version of it. Jeremy and I think physically we're screwed because once it goes in, we can't stop. But our gift, and we're very grateful to the people that walk before us. And this is all Jeremy and I are doing right now. We're just walking so you guys can benefit.
Yeah.
You know, the gift for people like us is we get to change our thinking because it's our thinking that keeps putting it in, nothing else. So please, man, you got two cheerleaders here. We believe in you. Recovery is 100% obtainable. Jeremy, I love you, brother.
Love you too.
Thank you for being in the trenches for people like me. I'm very grateful for that one guy, and thank you for being that one guy to so many people over the last 10 years. Um, if somebody was drawn to you, you know, you just said that one thing, I don't know now, we're 45 minutes in, if there's that one, how did they get in touch with you? How did
Um,
somebody get in touch with you?
I mean, obviously social media, which I don't love to be honest with you, but it is an easy for situations like this. It is very, very beneficial.
Uh,
Um, you can reach out to me. My Instagram handle is at jplum219. That's JPLUM 219. Um, and yeah,
Jeremy
re
Plummer, Facebook,
yeah,
right?
yeah, Jeremy
Okay.
Plummer on Facebook.
Yeah, awesome,
Yeah, send me a message. I always make myself available. And
for sure.
Tim, thank you so much. I've looked back on some of the old episodes. The people you've had on are fantastic.
Yeah,
I feel honored
yeah,
to be amongst them. And yeah,
yeah,
thank you for doing
yeah.
what you do, man. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for everything you're doing. I feel honored having you here, you
Thank you, brother.
know. You're one of the good guys,
Thank you,
man.
brother. Appreciate
Yeah, for
it.
sure. Hey, my name's Tim Roberto. You know, I'm just like Jeremy. I'm all over social media, and I do use it for that one guy. You can make all kinds of adjustments to your feed so you see what you want to see and get rid of all that other. Stay focused. Be good to yourself today. You can reach me at tim.r@beachway.com or any one of the social media outlets. Hey, from Jeremy and I, until next time, next episode, we wish you peace and love.